The morning show talks about the morning, evening, what may happen in the afternoon, what may happen the following morning, what could happen the following month. All those things, such and whatnots, all jam-packed into the mighty, mighty day that is Election Day. A day where we choose a new level of incompetence to enter the political system and the government. Every cycle, more incompetence. Bender, how are you this morning?
Good morning.
Bender says good morning.
Good morning.
I voted this morning, Bender. I got
Good.
up early.
Good.
Got up early. It's the first time I have been to an actual voting place in a very, very long time. Small town. Everybody all friendly and smiling. I had the candidates for the little local election standing outside, holding their signs, trying to smile and kiss babies and shit. It was neat. It was definitely neat. Something different. No donut.
Did you get a sticker?
Snacks. I did get a sticker.
Good.
I did. Got a sticker. Good times. Interesting. Interesting seeing democracy in different places. Really, really interesting. Naming the polling workers. Interesting. It's such a just so different. LA to middle of nowhere. Very interesting. Anyways, there really wasn't a lot of economic data. There really isn't a lot of anything going on. Mojo is now posting my tweets as news. That's great, Mojo. Good job, buddy. Yeah, there's really nothing going on. Like we have the election. Bitcoin absolutely took it in the face last night. Still trying to get my head around that big sell. That was a pretty big sell on some pretty interesting volume. That was pretty violent. We did see good flow coming into semis yesterday. In pre-market, we can see semis are up nicely. I really don't have a whole lot to say today, Bender, other than today is the day that you get to be a true American and vote. So vote, man, vote. And if you don't vote, you get to eat a big old fucking basket of shut the fuck up until you decide to vote. That's what I can say about all that there. What do you have for us there, Bender?
Well, about that Bitcoin thing, I was watching Ethereum, and I saw that drop come in. Does anybody have any insight into, the timing of kind of when that occurred? And was there anything? I saw there was a headline that came out that I think was about that time. Said something like China weighs zero COVID exit, but proceeds with caution and without timeline. That was, I think, the only thing that I saw that seemed to come out at that time. Just wondering if anybody has anything else. I did see that if you draw fibs from the lows October 13th to the highs on at 1681 on November 4th, we literally came down right to 50% retracement, and that's where it bounced. 1434-ish is where that comes in. So I will be keeping an eye on that chart today. We've seen, in a lot of cases, we've seen crypto kind of lead some moves, so that'll be something that I'll be paying attention to. But
Fair Value and Tobe just posted something about FTX being insolvent, and then Fair Value posted something else that I haven't looked at.
I've seen some of the FTX news that has come out. Interesting. Okay, thanks. Well, before I get into the ES levels, you see Fair Value God posting some charts there, and I believe that he is on voice, and he is going to provide us with his daily bias. So if you're on and you're live, you want to share with us what you got?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What's going on, everybody? I don't know if I've spoken here before, but my name is actually Zach. You can call me Zach if you want. I go by Fair Value God on Twitter and online. So,
Zach, it is.
yeah, whatever you guys want. Doesn't really matter to me. So I know I can't probably stream my screens, so I'm just gonna post charts.
Yep.
But today, right, the whole point of daily bias is to figure out where the daily candle today is going to expand to. And so I always start in the daily chart, obviously, and then we work way down to like a 1 hour chart, 15-minute, and that's pretty much as far as I go down on the charts. And then I look for entries on the 5, 3, 2, 1. But today I'm looking at this. I'm going to post this real quick. So here's the daily chart. Post it in Roadhouse text. And so what you have here is these red lines are called a fair value gap, right? And so after we had this big shift down, I'm going to mark this shift real quick.
First question, are you short right now?
Not yet. Okay. But I'm neutral to bearish right now, mainly because we have this shift in the daily, right? And so the shift created this fair value gap. So we took out that swing low. And so I was bullish Friday and Monday. You know, I thought we'd dig into this fair value gap, at least 50% of it. And they want to bring the market back up into a premium. So if you see, when I draw a fib, I'm going to post another chart. When I draw a fib there, you see how we're above the 50 now? Yep. So price is in a premium when you're in that dealing range right there. So from that high to that low for this price swing, we're halfway through the fair value gap, right? You don't have to fill the whole thing. But once we start getting into a premium above this 50, I'm starting to think, bearish, because we've had this bearish shift. We're in a premium. And I'm thinking they want to hunt liquidity below that swing low where the fib's drawn, and even further down, maybe 3640-ish, right? And so if you take another fib from the low of the year to this swing high, we've just now bounced off this 50. And so we haven't really gone into a premium yet. We've kind of ticked below, right? But I'm thinking what they're looking to do is you have this trend line that people have probably drawn on their charts. I'm going to take off some of this. You have this trend line here. And the reason for the bounce, in my opinion, is this bullish order block. And I'm going to post this chart here. So it looks like we've broken out of this trend, right? And we've come down and used this trend line as support. But really what's happening is we have this bearish shift. And so people are buying this trend line bounce. And what's actually happening is we're coming back up, and smart money is loading shorts in this fair value gap with the stop above the swing high. And they're going to look to take it lower into discount below the 50 even more, right? So you're about to see all these people who are buying this trend line bounce. They're going to have to get stopped out, right? Or they're going to hold on to their position, right? And then they're going to be underwater. And so we could do one of two things, right? We could continue to go higher, and you see that little gray line I have above the fair value gap, those two red lines? That's a volume imbalance. So we could come all the way up, fill in the fair value gap, which is the top red line, and maybe touch into that tiny gray area, fill in that volume gap, and then head lower. Or we can continue bouncing and take out the high, right? I don't really know, because if you look at the fib I've drawn on the previous images for this price swing, we're at the 50%, right? And so when you're at 50%, you're equilibrium. So price is happy there. It's fair value. And so you're basically, I want to say, gambling, because I like to trade when there's a clear bias, there's a clear draw on liquidity. And when I say draw on liquidity, basically I mean, where's the magnet, right? Where's price drawing to? And so when you're at equilibrium, you can make a strong case for both, right? And so that's not high probability conditions. And I like to trade when the conditions, match my bias and have an edge, right? Otherwise, it's 50-50, it's a toss-up. I don't have an edge there. And so I'm leaning, this is the classic, I don't know if any of you watched the 2022 mentorship of the ICT stuff that I post sometimes, but this is the exact model right here, right? I'm going to draw it real quick. We've taken out liquidity from the swing high on October 5th. So there's, I'm designating that with an X. You have a shift. Mark that. Don't worry, I'm going to post it in a second. And then you have a fair value gap that's been formed right here. And I'll mark that with just a box. Blue box. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, that's the link. Well, anyways, you can see it there. So the X is the buy side being taken out. And I forgot one more thing. Take rid of this fib. And if you draw from this swing high to this swing low, you can see price did come into a premium, right? So I'll post one more image. There you go. That's the full one. So when you take the swing, the fib, right, from the accelerated down move right up top and pull to the low of the year, you see price did come into a premium above the 50, right? And then on, I think that's FOMC day. I can't remember what day that was with the big acceleration down that caused the shift. The fact that that fair value gap was left open the next day and was formed after we took out that swing low has me even more bearish, because a lot of times you'll see with that fair value gap, that's the market tipping its hand to you saying, we want to take price lower, right? So what they're doing is in that fair value gap, price is only offered on the sell side. And so what they're doing right now is they're slowly bringing it up and offering buy side to the market, right? And so you need 3 passes for price to be balanced. So you have sell side. Right now we're working in buy side, right? And then on the third pass is going to be sell side again, lower, taking out the swing low and maybe hunting low of the year again, right? That's optimal bear target. But you always want to take profit at low hanging fruit. And so low hanging fruit for me would be the first liquidity target under 50% or in a discount. And so that's why I always take the bulk of my position off, and then you can hold for external. But you want to get the most of your position off at low hanging fruit, because nothing's 100%, right? Candyland is low of the year, but you don't always get external liquidity. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen with the remaining. So we'll see how it plays out.
Right on. So overall, though, the bias for today is bearish.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at right now, right? So for just today, that's like my overall bias. For today, let me redraw some of this so it's a little bit simpler. For today, I'm kind of in the middle, because what you have here, mark these out. Here we go. So what I like to do is I mark midnight open price, and then I mark 8:30.
And Zach, we'll have to figure out, format and time and that sort of thing. But obviously, we've got to make sure Stonkington gets to his stuff. And
oh yeah, my bad.
No, it's okay. Definitely helpful.
Yeah. So I guess today, to put it short, you see a chart I just posted on the right, the 15-minute chart. When you see price take buy side first, which is buy stops above highs, when you see that being taken after 8:30 open instead of sell side, I like to think that's a Judas swing. So that's a fake move to entice retail to chase, and then they're going to dump it on them. So I'm thinking we might, we could head higher, fill in the remaining of this daily fair value gap, then crush lower tomorrow or today. But I'm thinking this whole run up, I'm cautious. I'm going to be watching for a short setup today.
Right on. Perfect.
So that's me.
Thank you. And
just real quick, I have to, and we can make this as long as it needs to be, but I think it's important. Some of the things that he's posting, I think, is refreshing for a lot of people. I think it's different. I think it's helpful with his overall mindset, because he has a plan walking in. If it doesn't come to fruition, the dude just walks, is what it sounds like to me. It's like, if it doesn't lay out, then he just walks. It's like, fuck it. Next day is next day, or next hour is next hour. A couple of things I want to ask you though, Zach, for clarification. When you say today, are you talking about cash intraday? Or are you talking about up until let's say futures reopen at 6 p.m. Eastern? What are you talking about?
Bias wise, are you asking about the bias?
The bias. When you say you're bearish or neutral to bearish, I think is what you said.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So from the time frame, when you say I'm for today, what is the definition of today?
Okay, so basically, what I'm hunting today is a short setup, right? And I can flip bias quick if I see, something, extreme, like a swing high being taken out with like big displacement, or I mean, it has to be something extreme because we've had this daily shift that's bearish. And so when I say my overall bias is bearish, if you look at like the price swing from post a chart, right? When we hit this order block right here and filled in this fair value gap, I'm gonna post it. Red line. Obviously to the left, you see that red line I just do that's new. That whole leg down, right? That huge red candle or black candle, down close candle. How many green days are in that price swing before we take out low of the year? There's literally 2, maybe 3, 4 green days in that whole price swing. So my bias the whole time was bearish, right? But there's a couple green days in there that maybe you take a losing trade, even though your bias is bearish. Okay. And so from here on out, I'm skeptical. I'm looking for shorts because this could be the turning point for a reversal, on the swing this past 3 days. So my overall bias is starting to lean bearish, especially if we start breaking lower with some velocity. But, I'm like I said, it's 50-50 toss up in my mind, but I'm starting to lean bearish. So today I'm looking for price to continue maybe a little bit higher in the morning and then reverse maybe in the afternoon.
Okay.
Or we could just chop around here in this fair value gap and just keep offering price until
So
it
when
wants to
you
go lower.
do this, how likely are you to look at data up against your chart for inflection points and moments in time? Knowing that there's an FOMC, knowing that there's a CPI, or knowing something like an election that could move it off of your bias.
Yeah,
You-
for
you-
sure.
Okay.
So I always look at forexfactory.com, and I know it's Forex, but I filter it down to US dollar. And basically anything that's orange or red, I'm taking note of as maybe a high or medium impact news catalyst that's going to manipulate price in one way or another. And so basically all the algos are doing is they're using these moments in time or these news catalysts as an excuse to move price in their direction. And so today we don't really have anything except for elections all day. So I'm checking the news, and I'm not really a news trader, but like I said, I mark out 8:30 because that's when the news embargo is lifted, right? So tomorrow on Thursday, 2 days on Thursday, you have CPI, core CPI, unemployment claims, right? And so that's when I'm looking for maybe some displacement in one way or another, and then a reversal, or just any manipulative move that I can take advantage of to hop in, because I know what I'm looking for entry wise. So that's kind of what the time. Like I said, I use time and price, and so that's why I mark out certain times of the day, and I'm looking at these news catalysts.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing this, and hopefully you come back and play with us whenever you want to, as far as some mornings. Really good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think the more we do this, it might be quicker. This is my first time doing it.
Yeah,
so
look, it's like the
breeze
first time
by it.
through, it's like you have to explain your ideology, explain what you're looking at. It's like, and then so you're not going to have to do that moving forward. So it's like, I'm pretty sure you can size it down, but even the time that you took, I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's extremely positive. So thank you again for all that.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come on and share.
Thank you, Zach.
All right, the Binda, what you got now?
Yeah, so we're currently sitting 38.31. We just made that, call it the overnight high, that 38.35. And, now we have this wick sitting on top of that candle that we've pushed down off of. So I'll be kind of watching as if we get a bounce in here, kind of see what we do up against that. But just above that 38.53 previous level of support or resistance. And then above that, 38.80, if you look on the chart from, November 3rd, you can kind of see that level there acting as not November 3rd, 38.80. 38.70, you can kind of see that that level that we knocked up against a few times back at the end of October. That's kind of the level that that I'm looking at. If we continue to push up above that 38.53. As far as levels below, 3805, obviously we talked about that the last couple of days being an important level. 3800, the overnight low. 3783 is the 5 MA on the daily, and you got 3787 is the 50 MA on the 60 minute. So, if we go down to that 3805 and test that, get a little bounce, and then push below it under 3800, I would look at that 3783. And then below that 3755, previous level of support resistance. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as, how I'm kind of coming into the day. I think we can agree that first thing I'm looking for is 3825, see what we do there, and then really 3800 to 3805 if we come down and test that, or if we get above 3853. So that's kind of my if this then that, setup. So that's what I got. Questions? We good? Stonkington?
Whoa. Good stuff. Thank you, Fair Value. God, that was some good info. That was much appreciated. And it's raining, so we've got time. Luna's not walking in the rain. Looney Tunes is staying home in the rain. So all good. Let's see. We moved up, so I adjusted triggers and put that here in the room. Let's see. So we've got NVIDIA banging its head on 148.4. That was a nice move up on NVIDIA overnight. So I'm going to see if it could pop that for continued upside. And then I had this line below at 146.75. So we'll kind of see if we're going to pull back at all, see what happens down there. I know Swan has his NVIDIA lines as well, pretty close. Let's see. We had some dark pool on Microsoft that they're tacking onto a pretty thick line that was already existing. So that one's going to be at this 228.19 was already there. And last night they were hitting at 227.87, which when they're hitting it that close, I kind of start lumping that together. So that like 228 area is going to be a good one to watch. And then it stalled out pre-market at 229.90. Based on flow on the mega caps, Hells had pointed out yesterday that that was probably one of the more bullish names. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with Microsoft. I have Apple sitting up here on this fib at 140.25. So I'm going to be watching what it does up there. And then for the downside, volume profile is lighting up 139.55. So that's what we'll be watching for downside on Apple. Let's see, we had a double inside day on Roku. So above 50.95, which was yesterday's high. If it pops that, we should get an alert here that will hit in the room. So I'll be watching to potentially just see which way Roku breaks out of that double daily inside bar. We had some dark pool overnight on Baba, and it's been pushing down pretty good off that. They hit it at 69.71. We're already $1.30 below that, so it could be interesting to see what they do with Baba. And then the one I would just note on SPY, I threw it out. There's a bunch of money on the SPY at 379.71. That's about $5 billion. So if we push down, I'll be watching to see what happens there. But I think that's all I got for today.
All right, there's Stockton. So this is what we got. Kind of summarize. I think both Bender and what am I going to call him? FVG have decided that we should keep a head on a swivel. I think that's important. We should look for some type of a shift throughout the day as far as how things are looking. Just to summarize flow overall, coming into today and the election and some of the historical pieces of it, I think is important to note. So I'll go ahead and summarize that. Flow into semis has been bullish. We saw some pretty heavy dark pulls into not Micron, but Marvell yesterday. AMD up nicely, at least last time I looked this morning, same with NVIDIA. So semis are getting a bid. There's no doubt about that. And they have been since AMD reported trash numbers and bounced and actually performed well up against the market. So in a lot of ways, you can look at AMD and you can look at that sector as been kind of being beat down, forgotten, destroyed. That's not going to last forever because, as we all know, they've now put microchips into, what is it, the little Q-tips. So there is a need there, one way or the other. In addition to that, if we're looking at flow, also index flow for the most part is leaning neutral to bullish. They lean there. As far as how the indexes are looking. As we do know, it only takes a couple of minutes for calls to come in on the bid and puts to come flinging in on the ass with more calls coming in on the bid. You've seen it. It can happen so fast. So there's that piece of it. Just setting the table overall. So we would need a shift in what we've seen in order to get to the other side. I said it on Friday. I'll say it again. I have never seen, let me rephrase. In recent memory, Tesla flow has not been as bearish as it is now. Said it Friday, said it again yesterday. Let's see how that plays out. 188 is a level that I would look to be aggressive for myself. I'll continue to look at that level as the day progresses, if we ever get there. Hopefully, don't. The last thing that I'll say, historically, okay, key word being historically, the markets rock after the election. Historically, the markets rock after elections. We're in a period of history right now to where shit be fucked up, yo. We're also in a period of time in history to where elections are no longer decided on election night. There could be more questions than answers after an election. This is a new thing and a new theme altogether. So while historically the market rocks after elections, what we've dealt with over the past several years could be a little bit different with this one. So don't rest your laurels or rest your nest egg or whatever on a historical trend. Things, they are a-changing. Also have a little bit of concern overall because if everything does go smoothly, the odds of the dollar making a strong rebound from this 110 level that it's playing with comes into play. And as we have seen, the dollar has a very negative impact on equities. So there is that tug of war taking place over there. Also mentioned yesterday that I think that whole trend of the dollar basically leading the market is going to soon fade. Don't know when that is, but it's something to keep in mind. If the elections go smoothly, if everybody feels comfortable, if the world feels like democracy is still a thing, the odds that the dollar rocks to the upside are pretty high. What effect that has on equities, do not know. No idea. But I think it's something to keep in mind. Now, if there's more questions and answers after the election, there is no, definitive answers to how things are. There's a lot of shenaniganery. There's a lot of, I'm not going to, respect the election. Aliens came down and voted for the other opponent. Somebody had their pet dog and turtle and goldfish vote. If we get all that shit going on and this moves on and there's more cracks in the underbelly of what democracy actually is, you can see the dollar spill very heavily. If that happens, do equities bounce? I don't know. It's a very, very weird place. And I wanted to take a couple of minutes to kind of talk about that because we're entering some unknowns in through here that I think everybody should be aware of and have expectations be pretty much zero until we get through Thursday. That's kind of where I'm at. So that's all I got, Benner. Do you have anything else, Stockington? Fair value.
You could just call him Zach.
Okay. I like fair value.
You can call me Zach, Fair Value God, FVG, whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, dude, look, I've always been a fan of what you posted, even if I don't necessarily agree with it when you're posting it. It's like I've always been a massive fan of what you're doing because perspectives like yours and Bender's and Stockington's and everybody else in the room, they're so important. And I think the one thing that you've proven over time in the brief time that you've been here is you have a pretty high level of accuracy in what you're looking at and talking about it. So thank you for choosing to share with us. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And I'll be active in the chat for sure during the day. And maybe hopefully in the mornings continue doing this.
All right, bud. I appreciate it, man. All right, we have 9 minutes and some change until open, 9 minutes and some change. Get comfortable.